how do we experience life from the inside out when we're so focused on our phones and, social media and, what other people are saying? How do you do that inner journey? How do you focus from the inside out when we're conditioned to look from the outside in?
Yeah, yeah. Great question. And it's about usually there's a sense of feeling overwhelmed with whatever is happening in front of us in this
Uh-huh.
crazy time. And it's about thinking, what would be a quieter moment? Is it something that, you enjoy doing? Like maybe with some people it's baking, others it's, swimming or taking a walk. It's that time where you can just be, and it's, and just sitting in your favorite chair is, just having some stillness, some quiet time, is really the key. It's a paradigm shift because we think that if we just try harder and have a strategy and a 5-year plan and have a long to-do list and beat ourselves up if we don't get the to-do list, it was always adding stress to my life. Like,
Mhm.
or, beating myself up because I didn't accomplish XYZ. And little did I know that the universe had a different plan for me. It was really just more and more going deeper into this understanding. And I can't, it's not a how-to. It's definitely the deeper you go, I think the more you can see, if that makes sense. And really realizing over and over how things just unfold when we get out of our way. The big aha was realizing that I was looking in the wrong direction, and not so much that I dove in, but I started noticing some wisdom or insight. So the first fundamental and universal truth is that
Joy Belangi, what a pleasure it is to have you on Bridging the Potential podcast right here, right now. And you know what? You are my sister. For those of you in the audience, might know, might not know, but Joy Belangi is my real sister. And here's the cool news about that is I would pick her to be my sister, even having known her all my life. And I call her my soul sister. So welcome, Joy. I'm excited to have this conversation with you because you have the joy of well-being and it so suits your name. So thank you for being with me today.
well, such an honor to be with you, my dear, my sister.
Yeah, my sister. That's right. Some people get our voices confused. So anyway, I know you used to play tricks on my boyfriends when I was younger about, you pretended to be me. I don't think I ever did that to you. Hey, we still
Yeah,
have time.
because
We
you
still.
have the boyfriends.
Oh, well, yeah, that was then. Anyway, let's talk about you and the joy of well-being because you have been, it's just been such a joy to watch the joy of my sister create her namesake, the joy of well-being. It's been a journey. I mean, you're a grandma now, you're a mom of two amazing kids, and you've lived your life kind of out there in the middle of nowhere, but somehow you became a global traveler. Tell us a little bit about how that all came about.
Yeah, thank you so much. Love to talk about this, not about me, but just how this understanding that we call the inside out understanding now has been so pivotal. And I was just recalling back in Michigan, I would look at certain women going on, I think it was maybe a Vision Quest I was looking at, and I thought, oh, that's great for them. I could never do that. And then I stopped myself and realized, is that true? Or am I just making that up? And as you know, the story, I pursued and went on a vision quest in Colorado, and I was one of 10 people on the land for No, I was one of 13 on this land for 10 days. And part of that is to learn about the Vision Quest for the first 3 days and then actually pick out a site. And then it was 4 nights of being solo out on the land and breaking the fast on the fifth day. And it's so interesting because I was thinking it was 3 days. I've always thought, well, yeah, it's 3 days. And then I'm in there, I'm in the midst of it, and I realize, oh my God, it's 4 days actually, and breaking it on the fifth day. But it was such an amazing experience. And after that, everything seemed to fall into place. I found someone to rent my house, and that was a serendipitous event. And proceeded to look at camper vans and decided a road truck was one that I could live in for a while because I was thinking I would do this year long, which I now call a joyride, and had the most amazing experience that year. And I would have been just stuck in my thinking had I not known this understanding because we can get caught into the thought storm, the narrative, the what ifs. What if I break down? What if I get lost? What if, what if, what if? And I just noticed those thoughts and let them go. And, the rest is history.
Yeah, it's interesting learning how to really trust yourself at a deep level and what you have to go through in your mind in order to become more resourceful. And that's been a journey for you because you worked in the university extension program for two major universities, doing all kinds of service work for communities and so forth. And you've always been a learner. Like, I want to learn this. What about this? What about that? So over the time that you've been building this knowledge base, it appears that you've actually taken what you've learned and put it into practice.
Well, and the other key thing is how I had my first insight, I guess, to this understanding, and is that I called myself a seeker. And early on, I think early 20s, whatever, I decided that I was going to figure this life out. If I could only read as many books as I can, go to as many workshops, learn as many techniques, surround myself with higher intelligence people, I would figure this life out.
Right.
And so, how life unfolds, that was a desire. I had not really known how to do that. And, growing up in the experience that we had, looking around, I didn't see that anybody really had a handle on how to do this life. So it was up to me to figure it out. And so part of that Michigan State University extension, they would have fall conferences every year down in Lansing. Mind you, I lived in Upper Peninsula, but I saw a seminar, like a 9-month seminar called Health Realization that Dick and Bettinger was going to do. And it looked amazing. And I thought, I'm going to sign up. And so that took place. And it was so interesting because it was 1 or 2 meetings per month for 9 months. And I kind of joked about it that, I'd get in my car because it was a 4-hour drive to learn more about my thoughts. So I had a lot of time to think about my thoughts. But what was revealed to me, as we call it insight, I realized that I had innate health and wisdom. You have innate health and wisdom. This is our design that nobody's really told us about. And it was an oh my God moment. Like, I've been looking in the wrong direction,
hmm
which
hmm
was pivotal. And,
Right.
back to my first joyride, I didn't have a plan in place. And I just realized that, and it's kind of how I've been living my life. I don't have to figure it out. Whatever is needing to be revealed to me is going to be revealed to me in the time that I need to know it. And so that my whole ride was unplanned, unscripted travel that is just near and dear to my heart. So.
Exactly. In other words, you trusted yourself enough to know that you would learn what you needed in the moment that you needed it without having anxiety or having your thoughts prevent you from taking the trip at all. Because what if you had a breakdown, or what if got stuck in a snowstorm, or, all the zillion things that could happen when you did this road trip. I mean, we took your road trek on a joyride. And
Yeah.
where exactly did you go, and how did the unplanned plan show up?
Well, the first leg of the trip, I took my dear friend Tammy Belangi. We were married to the Belangi brothers. You've heard the Blues Brothers. This was the Belangi brothers. And we also married out of that relationship. So anyway, she was willing to go on the first leg with me. And first stop was going to celebrate my birthday, because that was the day, October 10th of 2011, that we celebrated my birthday. And then we proceeded to see her daughter in Colorado, and then just worked our way, through New Mexico and all of that. So, yeah, the main thing is it feels like we're not doing this life alone. So, you're spot on that I learned to trust the guide inside, if you will, this energy behind all life, the energy that's breathing us right now, the energy that is beating our heart, the energy that's digesting our lunch. It's all that energy behind life, and it's living us.
Right,
So,
right. That's quite amazing, because so much of, as you said, in your earlier life of, being in the university, and, there's a lot of focus on mental strength and fortitude and so forth. And then you ventured into experiencing yourself beyond just your body. It was like this mind, body, spirit kind of lined up in what you call this idea of well-being. And there's a certain thing that you refer to, which you call this understanding, that leads to insights. So could you talk a little bit about how did you move from already thinking, you're already thinking, to this new understanding that's beyond what the mind can conceive?
yeah, great question. And it is about giving our intellect a rest. So in that space of quiet, doesn't necessarily happen. It's understanding how that insight, I'd like to say that it comes out of the blue. It's an epiphany. It's aha, if I can say it, aha moment. Like when you're trying to figure out somebody's name or where you put something, or, and all of a sudden it comes to you in the shower, and so this is all things that we've all experienced, but maybe haven't given it enough notice or attention, as to how that works. And it's a paradigm shift, because we think that if we just try harder and have a strategy and a 5-year plan and have a long to-do list and beat ourselves up if we don't get the to-do list, when life can be a lot easier. So part of this understanding is, I think, has a lot to do with realizing that it can be a lot easier, and life doesn't have to be so serious. But the
Yeah.
key point is that it's an unlearning, because we've been conditioned, programmed to have those goals, and they're important. But it was always adding stress to my life, like,
Hmm.
or, beating myself up because I didn't accomplish XYZ. And little did I know that the universe had a different plan for me.
Right, exactly, exactly. So was it when you went on that vision quest, when you first started to put it together about trusting yourself at a deep level? Because for a lot of people listening to this, and the work that we've been doing over the years, the programming is so intense that people don't know how to really trust themselves, or even to know who they really are, because they've been pretending to be someone other than who they are, because they never knew that they could do the inward journey to become their highest and best self. No one really showed them that it's an inward focus. It's always been an outward focus until you have a wake-up call. Is that what happened for you when you were on that vision quest, or have there been a series of wake-up calls that have led you to, aha, this is what I want. This is what the joy well-being is going to be delivering for this next stage of my life. What was the wake-up call that began it? And maybe what are some of the steps along the way? Because a lot of people go, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to do it different. I'm ready to get out of my own mind. Do I have to lose my mind to find myself? What's the solution?
Yeah, yeah, I think each, to keep the, like what we like to say is keeping that curiosity portal open. So it was really just more and more going deeper into this understanding. And I can't, it's not a how-to. It's definitely the deeper you go, I think the more you can see, if that makes sense. And really realizing over and over how things just unfold when we get out of our way. So it's more of that journey. And like I said, the big aha was realizing that I was looking in the wrong direction, and not so much that I dove in, but I started just probably noticing some wisdom or insight along the way, and following that, like you said, I started to learn to trust those nudges or those ahas. And I've had a number of well, people think I'm a great manifester, and on your class, I'm over the top intuitive.
Yeah.
Thank you for that realization. I forget which class that was, but thank you so much. Yeah, and more I see that. So, what would be offered in the class is two main things, actually, or maybe there's three, and we go over it in different ways. So it's a lot that people already know, but it's probably taking them a little bit deeper and seeing it from a different perspective. So the first fundamental and universal truth is that we aren't broken, nothing needs to be fixed, and nothing is lacking, and that we have everything within us. And that's one of the foundational things that I will be going over with the group, and definitely it's considered universal truth. The second is to go over how we experience life from the inside out, and how life is living through us, not coming at us. And then the third is that the mind is built to bounce back. We have this incredible resiliency, as you know, that we have that ability to bounce back from whatever challenge or trauma that we've experienced.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, it's like I like the first one is we're not broken. We don't need to be fixed. And for a lot of the big issue today is there's such a focus on mental health. Like I think it became more noticeable that people are concerned about mental health during the pandemic when people had to spend more time together inside inside their homes, right? And suddenly it's become known. I'm just watching how so many people are, it's open discussion now to say, I'm really struggling mentally. But there's this relationship between mental health and physical health. And most people still see those as separate. You go to the psychologist or the therapist, and then you go to the foot doctor. Everybody has their own special domain. So this special understanding that kind of looks at the whole well-being of a person, all elements that makes us each unique, and learning to trust that, and that we're not broken and you don't need to be fixed. That's going to disappoint a lot of people out there that are trying to fix us, don't you think?
Yeah, and what this brought up is uh, someone that I had done some work with, is a retired psychiatrist, and Dr. Bill Pettit. And he recommended, or he shared that, for to get his degree in psychiatry, He took like over 900 hours and he became an expert in mental illness. Not one class on well-being. Can you imagine? I'm hoping that the curriculum has changed. But back to the body, mind, spirit. Yeah, we know that when there's something is challenging, it shows up in the body. It's uneasiness. It might be, you feel it, right? And what I like from Bill, he would say, we get love notes from the body. And the love notes is telling us to look at where we are with our thinking. And so usually it's, we're feeling our thinking all the time. And so it's that connection. And now, a lot of people ask, well, I hear, different thoughts and things. How do I know when it's a wisdom versus just another thought? And a wisdom comes with a beautiful feeling usually. And that's how people can decipher, if they're in analyzing which thought to listen to, which direction to go. And, the heart has been overlooked for so long, with it's the magnetic force in the body. And the heart was, as we were in the womb, the heart was the first that was built or designed or created before our brain. But, the brain and the intellect gets all the attention.
Mhm.
And how many years have gone by where we just thought, oh, the heart's just a pump,
Yeah, exactly.
just keeping us alive.
Right, right, right. Well, I love the word coherence, and that the listening, the heart's relationship to the mind is through that coherent relationship. And so the understanding in the course that you're teaching or facilitating is called the Insight to Well-Being. And again, there's three key elements. And one, you're not broken. So there's nothing to be fixed. What was the second one?
Nothing needing to be fixed, nothing lacking. The second one is how we experience life from the inside out.
Okay, let's stop there for a moment.
Okay.
How do we experience life from the inside out when we're so focused on our phones and, social media and, what other people are saying? How do you do that inner journey? How do you focus from the inside out when we're conditioned to look from the outside in?
Yeah, yeah. Great question. And it's about usually there's a sense of feeling overwhelmed with whatever is happening in front of us in this
Uh-huh.
crazy time. And it's about thinking, what would be a quieter moment? Is it something that, you enjoy doing? Like maybe with some people it's baking, others it's, swimming or taking a walk. It's that time where you can just be. And it's, and just sitting in your favorite chair is, just having some stillness, some quiet time is really the key.
Yeah. So it seems like, and we've had these conversations about people are so programmed to, like you said, the to-do list, to do, to do, to do, to do, to do, and shifting that to a being space where just to be is enough, right? It's
Mm.
like that's the other thing I think that people are struggling from. I love to ask the question, and maybe this is one of yours. I got it from you, maybe, is who would you be if you didn't have to prove yourself to anyone else? Who would you be if you didn't have to prove yourself? Because that's a deep question when so many people, I remember you saying once, feel free to be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
Yeah. Some
Right?
famous person said that.
Right. So the idea of being yourself and letting go of the to-dos in order to be. So when people are feeling overwhelmed and so forth, they're many times needing to just stop and hug a tree or get in nature in some way. I think there's some connection that you're saying. It's like the road trek, the work. I mean, you went on a journey to let go of your programming to get present to the being nature, I believe, because it's been a process that's been building over time. You had the understanding, but then you got a chance to not only know it, but experience it and see it in such a way that now you want to share that with others. But it's not like a typical course, and this is not like therapy, right? So
Yeah,
how do you,
absolutely. It's more about creating the space for others to come back home to themselves. So everything that, you explained that, we can be distracted, 24/7, right? And I think it's really about having some time out, even though this isn't any kind of remedy or technique, but you know yourself, what you need. And it's listening to within, there might be a massage that's been nudging you, or just taking a time out. What does that
right,
look like?
right, right. And I think you said something about sitting, like being comfortable with the unknown, like you don't have to have it all figured out in advance, because that's the other big breakthrough that people think, I can't do this because I don't know enough and I'm not enough, so I'm not ready, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
the narrative, we know what's on our heart. And a friend of mine says, as soon as you acknowledge that, that's when the bullshit comes in, all the reasons why you can't do it. It's not time, you don't have the funds, you don't have the knowledge, you're not ready. Wow, and realize that that's kind of the process. And whether you pay attention to those thoughts is the deal or the deal breaker, right?
right, exactly. Okay, and so again, these are such deep topics. I think it's okay that we repeat them because, each one has a little bit of a story that is related to why these three things are, part of the course that you want to have people experience. Could you share the third one again?
Third one is that the mind is built to bounce back, that we are built for resiliency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right. I often say, I, it's kind of like if it has, it hasn't killed me yet. Whatever it is I'm going through, I'm building character, and it's going to be good in the long run. Right now, I might not be able to see it that way. So, how do we get out of our, this idea of fear where we feel like I'm not enough and I don't know if I can bounce back. I don't know if I can handle it. I don't even know. Of course, that's dealing with the unknown again, but the idea of resiliency and thinking of the times in your own life, Joy, when you were resilient. When did you notice yourself as being resilient?
Great question. I haven't thought about that for a while, but I think, coming through a divorce
Yes.
is definitely one. Breakups,
Oh, yeah.
heartbreaks, those are definitely, so, this isn't a bypass. It's definitely feel your feelings and know that in time, they're not going to be, so dominant, and usually what I have found that there's a gift waiting for you
Right.
after you work through something that you don't think that you could survive.
Exactly. It's like, how else do we find out what we're made of other than how do we move through challenging times? You can't just sit around and be in your comfort zone, right? Life passes you by if you're just in your comfort zone. So trusting yourself and allowing yourself to kind of make it up as you go and realizing that you're going to have exactly what you need when you need it.
Yeah, yeah. I guess the other part too is, I think it's very easy to get into analysis, trying to figure this out, or why am I feeling this way, or why didn't this go according to how I wanted it to go? And, you know, um, and
Right.
realizing that, that's just taking you away from the present moment now.
Exactly. So again, bringing people together to have an experience in this program that you're going to be offering that is really about, helping people have their own experience of their own insight to their own well-being. Insight to well-being is the name of the course. And what do you expect people will experience? Because I know you've been in these circles, You've known for creating the Sacred Women's Circles. You've been in the Three Principles movement globally for years. What do you imagine is going to happen as a result of people coming into this circle with you for this course? What will they walk away with? What will they experience? What do you imagine that might be?
They're going to see something new. They're going to see something new and fresh. And it's going to be, it might be a small aha, might be huge. There's nothing, that I can say for sure that they're going to have an insight about. But certainly we're going to learn a little bit more about what that means and define, what well-being is and insight. And so for sure, I would say they're going to see something new. And I would think some clarity and some lightness, not taking life so seriously in this time with chaos going on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that there's no accident that we're on the planet right now. And as a matter of fact, it's like we get to watch the breakthrough because more and more people will need to come home to themselves because the answer isn't out there, it's in here.
Yeah,
And
yeah. And I think there's a sense of peace, and relaxing into who we really are. And that's the beauty, that's the energy that we want to put out into the world, not the fear, not the anxiety.
right, right. Well, I love that you say, that innate, that mental health is innate within all human beings. We all have access to it, mental health. And part of what causes the suffering, I think you said it's unexamined thoughts and, contaminated thoughts and misunderstandings about experiences. That's the gremlin mind that's causing all that in terms of what creates the suffering. You mentioned earlier about life isn't happening to you, it's happening with you and through you.
Right.
So that's the beautiful part about trusting. And there's something about when people are learning together this innate wisdom, there's another understanding that emerges rather than each person trying to figure it out on their own. But when they're in a group, what have you noticed in these groups about the ahas, those insights, those epiphanies? You've been in so many circles. What have you witnessed?
Well, it's not anything that you can plan on, and that's the beautiful thing about insights is that they tend to surprise you. It's not based on anything that you've been thinking about, so it happens, in somebody's own time. But what I see is there's a beautiful energy when people are more authentic and can relax into being versus the doing, and really, really being present. They're not thinking about what they already know or how this relates to something that they've taken. I encourage them to put all that like outside the room that we'll be in and just be open to what occurs to them or what they're seeing. And so basically, we really do learn about how the mind works and thought. It's not like therapy and working on cognition or positive thoughts. It's beyond that. It's more or less that we are thinkers, and that the thought is the creative agent of the three principles, the original three principles. And it's just easier to call it inside out understanding because people would get caught up in their head about now what's thought, what's
Yeah,
consciousness,
right, exactly.
what's mind.
Right. Exactly. Well, Sid Banks, I think we must mention his name here in this podcast because he was a teacher that so inspired you to way back when you met Dickon, back when you lived in the Upper Peninsula, very, very, very small town in the winter. But you found a pathway to being the global nomad with shifting to the three principles possibility of living. So, what would you say about Sid Banks if someone's never heard of them and how did he inspire you?
Yeah, it was just perfect how this understanding that he came across is that he did not have any, college education. He was ninth grade education, a welder from where was it? Sweden? Not Sweden. I'll think of it. Um,
Scotland, wasn't it?
Scotland, that's right. And so, he and his wife went to a marriage workshop and he realized that this wasn't something that he could continue. It was back in the day where people were yelling at pillows and yeah, socking the pillows to let go of any anxiety. And anyway, he just so happened to be at break and talking with a psychologist. And he said to this friend, he says, I don't think I'm going to be able to continue this whole weekend. And the guy says, "Well, why not, Sid? You do. It doesn't look like you're getting much out of this." And he says, "Well, I'm just really feeling insecure." And what this gentleman said just landed so deep for him. He says, "Sid, you're not insecure. You're just thinking you are." And so within a few days going back home, he had this beautiful epiphany of seeing this energy behind all life and how life is created. And I heard something new, like, how some people have like a near-death experience and then come back. I learned that Sid Banks had it all the way, like he went all the way through this like funnel or something enlightening experience and came back.
Mhm.
So yeah, and then he proceeded to, want to share this with people and it took a while for people to really hear and what he was pointing to.
Right. But then it became a worldwide movement, you know? It's
Yeah.
just it impacted the therapy world. I think was it marriage counseling only, but it's like a lot of therapists started to realize the way of mental well-being is, a different track than what they've been educated to do for people to really transform. It became much simpler and easier when people access their own ability to change their thoughts. Is that right?
It's not so much about changing the thoughts, but just seeing the power of the thought. And so many therapists did after they were introduced to this, they would, go to a weekend retreat and go back to work on Monday and say, oh, to their clients, I can't do what we've been doing. I saw something that could be really life-changing for you. And that's how it proceeded. And so,
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. I'm so excited about your course. And I know it's going to be happening as part of Living the Potential Network as one example, but you are going to be traveling and bringing this. I call it you're shining the joy, you're shining your light from the inside out with the joy of well-being and this amazing opportunity for people to discover for themselves their inner selves that perhaps they didn't know that they have insight to well-being that's within them. I can't wait to hear the stories of personal transformation, Joy. Is there anything that you could share with how people can reach you as a result of hearing you on this podcast? How else can people reach out to you?
oh, great, great. Yeah. Well, I have a website. It's joyofwellbeing, all one word, .org, no dash in there. So that's a great way to connect with me, as well as my email. I have joy@joyofwellbeing.org. And yeah, I'd love to, yeah, share and spend time. I do one-on-one coaching as well, but now I'm leaning more and more to group experiences. So yeah, thank you so much, Renee. This has been such a fun hour to spend with you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you to all of my listeners. If you're listening to this, you might have found us on YouTube, or you might have found us at Living the Potential. Either way, we'd love for you to become a member of Living the Potential. You can go to livingthepotential.com and become a member. We'd love for you to, what should I say, subscribe. Because when you subscribe and you share this with other people, we all become more awake to who we are and why we're here and what difference we might make in the midst of a lot of change. So thanks again, Joy. I appreciate you so much for being here. And thanks to all our listeners. Appreciate you. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much.
Thank you.